I've been to several different churches my whole life. I've been going to church my whole life, religious family. But to me, because I've moved to so many different churches, and from what I've heard from many churches I've gone to, church isn't really a building to me. Church is a community, fellowship of people that get together. Not necessarily perfect people, but I guess I would explain it as sinners trying to be better.
Okay.
Basically what we all are. But to me, that's what church is.
What is church? Growing up Catholic, church was an ordered, structured assembly point. Church was a place for rites of passage to occur. First communion, confirmation, weddings, baptisms, those kinds of things were important parts of church. As I've gotten older, church to me is more the community that you're involved in, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a worship community. I believe in the church of action, not words, and so this here at Habitat is my church. My ministry is done with a hammer, and the congregation is all the volunteers that we have here. So to me, church is this group that works on these houses and everything. That's church right now.
Church is an assembly point, a structure that people come to, and if everything works out right and they're all on the same page, the same degree of belief, no, that's an impossibility. But under a roof in a church, a believing community is formed. So that's what church, I think, is. But it goes farther than that. That's just at the structural level. Then there's the organizational level. Methodist, Baptist, Catholic, Presbyterian, Episcopalian, etc. That's church to them is outside the door and up the ladder of the hierarchy. And that's kind of where I part company.
What I look for in a church?
Yeah.
Good music.
Okay.
That's one. I guess a pastor that I can relate to. The last church I went to, the pastor was really down to earth. He didn't he wasn't just by the textbook type of guy that just, opened the Bible and just read it. He was more of a guy that he understood his, the community which he was preaching to. And he felt like he was just another member. Like it didn't seem like he was a higher up, but the type of preacher that, they can preach the word to you in a way that is relatable and understandable, and that just helps a lot more.
What do I look for in a church? I guess the biggest thing that drove me away from the Catholic Church was a failure to, again, my entire understanding of church is based on Christianity. So I can't really answer for how a Jewish person or Muslim or any other religion might answer this question. But from a Christian standpoint, do they propose and preach and act in a Christ-like manner? One of my issues with the Catholic Church is I didn't think that they were doing that. I thought they were being exclusionary. I don't think Christ would have told women that they can't have a role in the church. I don't think Christ would have told gay people that they don't have a role in the church. I don't think Christ would have put up with some of the actions of some of the priesthood in the Catholic Church. And certainly Christ wouldn't have been as hung up on money as the church was. And that's just the clergy. Then you had the parishioners who, also, in many cases didn't quite act in a Christ-like manner. So I would say the most important thing for me in any churches are they, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus say? That would be what I'm looking for.
That is a really hard question. The first one I could answer. This one I'm going to have trouble with. What do I look for in a church? Well, I look for sincerity from the pulpit, honesty. Obviously, if we're talking about Christianity, we look for an interpretation of Christianity, stemming from the Bible, and how it affects our life, and how we should go forth after a service, and what we should do, how we should be to our fellow man and woman. That's what I expect of a church. I know a lot of people would just go for an hour on Sunday, and they leave the church pretty much the same way they went in. And I'd like for church to be a transforming experience, maybe not just every Sunday, but once a month or so. Would like to see somebody be actually positively affected by a church. That's kind of what I look for.